It's day 7. We've made it to the end of this little challenge. Well done to everybody who's stuck with it for all 7 days. It wasn't so bad, really, was it? I mean, it's certainly not as grueling as last year's 30-day challenge. So let me take you through the final exercise. I'm going to go a little bit jazz with this exercise. It's all about enclosing each of the notes in major arpeggios. So I'll explain exactly what that means in just a moment, but let me begin by playing through the exercise. It goes like this. We're in the key of A and we're working with the 1, 4 and 5 major arpeggios from the key. So A major, D major and E major arpeggios. Let me just take you through those arpeggios to begin with. So A major arpeggio is just the notes A, C sharp and E. That's the root, the 3rd and the 5th. We can play our root note here, 5th fret on the low E string, and then we've got our C sharp and E like that, and then we can go into the next octave, A, C sharp, E, and then A. So notice those notes follow pretty closely the notes in this regular A bar chord shape. We just need to step outside that shape to grab this C sharp, but otherwise all of those notes are in the chord shape. So it's worth knowing that. You can just practice that as a little exercise going up and down the arpeggio. And then we could do the same thing for a D major chord. So there's our root note there, D, and then we want the 3rd, which is an F sharp, and an A is the 5th. So we've got root, 3rd, 5th, and then we take that into the next octave, root, 3rd, 5th. And if you like, you can add in a high D root note there as well, and that also follows very closely our 5th string root bar chord shape. It starts on that root note, we just step outside the shape for the major 3rd, and then we're following the chord shape. So again, you can just practice that as a little exercise. And then if you want the E major arpeggio, we can of course just shift everything up 2 frets. So those are the arpeggios that we're going to be working with, but we're going to be enclosing each of the notes in those arpeggios. This is very much a jazz technique. It's something you hear a lot of jazz guitar players do. It's something I associate a lot with gypsy jazz, people like Django Reinhardt. I mean, I'm not a gypsy jazz player or specialist by any stretch of the imagination, but it is a sound that you hear very often in the playing of Django Reinhardt. And it's a very simple idea. We've got, let's take our root note A to begin with, and we're going to play a note above that, then a note below, and then we're going to hit that root note, which is our target note, if you like. And the way I'm going to do this is to play a note a scale tone above and then a semitone below the target note. So A is our starting point, a scale tone above that, just thinking the notes in the A major scale, that's going to be a B. So the 7th fret on the low E string. A semitone below our target note is going to be this note here, the G sharp. So we're going to play a B, the G sharp, then we hit our target note. You can see that that note is surrounded by these other extra notes, sort of all leading to our target note. So that's the first little bit of the exercise, enclosing the root. Next note in the arpeggio is the 3rd. This is a C sharp, and again we're going to go a scale tone above, which is this time is going to be a D, so just 1 fret above, and then semitone below, which is a C, and then we hit our target note. And then we're going to move to the next note in the arpeggio. This is the 5th, this is an E. A scale tone above that is actually going to be an F sharp, so 2 frets above, and then a semitone below, 1 fret below, and then we hit the E. So that's F sharp, D sharp, E. So far we've got this. And then we're can just do the same thing in the next octave. So we're back to the root again, just surrounding that root note. Then this is the third. Whenever we're dealing with the third, it's just 1 fret either side. And then we're surrounding the fifth. So that's 2 frets above, 1 fret below. And then the root again. Again, 2 frets above, 1 fret below. So it's either going to be 2 frets above or 1 fret above, but it's always going to be 1 fret below each of these notes. And the reason for that is that the higher note has got to conform to the scale. I mean, there are other ways of doing this. You could have a semitone above and below. You could have a scale tone below as well, but this is the way that I commonly like to do it. So if I put all of that together, we've got surrounding all of the notes in that arpeggio, and I'm playing this in kind of a jazzy swing kind of style. So 1 and 2, 3 and 4. And just repeating that highest note. Then we're just going to do the same thing but with the 4 chord, with the D major. So just again, just kind of visualizing the notes in the arpeggio and then just encircling it, enclosing those notes. So it works in exactly the same way. So 2 frets above the root, 1 below. And with the third, you've got 1 fret above and 1 fret below. And then with the fifth, 2 frets above, 1 fret below. And then we just take that through. And the third, the fifth. And if you want to play that high D note, then it's going to be 12, 9 and 10. So and then for the 5 chord, exactly the same thing, 2 frets higher. And then to round off the exercise, just going back to the 1 chord again. I should say, as far as the picking goes, it's always down, up, down, down, up, down. So get that under your fingers. You might just like to do it with the A major arpeggio to begin with. When you're feeling confident with that, you can move on to the 5th string root shapes and try the D and the E major. Of course, we're going to try this with the metronome as well. So let me put the whole exercise together with the metronome. I'm doing this with kind of swung 8 notes, and I've got my metronome set to 90 beats per minute down here. 2, 3. So that's the exercise. Have fun with that if that's a new concept to you. It is primarily a jazz thing, but you can use it in other styles as well. You know, it's quite frequently used in blues, I guess, as well. You get these kind of, you know, those kind of licks which are based on that enclosure of the major third. So it's a useful concept. So that brings us to the end of this year's technique challenge. It remains to be seen whether I'm going to do the same thing again next year. We'll see. Let me know if you'd like to see more of this kind of thing. But as I say, the main point of this was just to establish good practice habits, just showing up and doing something on the guitar. But I hope that if you like some of these exercises, maybe you can take them and make them a regular part of your practice routine. This is something that I quite often say: when you're putting together a practice routine, you've got a given amount of time. You might like to devote a small portion of that time to doing these kind of exercises. I think they do have their place. They can be very useful. So do 5 or 10 minutes on these kind of exercises. Then you can move on and work on something that's more obviously musical. So working on learning tunes or pieces of music, improvising, that kind of thing. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this little series. Hope you found it useful. And I wish you all the best with your guitar practice throughout 2026. And I hope to see you again here very soon for another video. Bye-bye.